Okay, so let's talk about where we are on our automation test building process. So we started out with the acceptance criteria. Right on the left side. So this is where we started out, acceptance criteria, right here. We know how to build the feature files, how to add multiple feature files, how to do at least some basic regex, and then how to generate the step definition. Then we moved on to the, so from step definition, so we started with the left. We also created some class files, which are nothing but the objects. So we talked about the, as part of this process here, right? We started with the basic Ruby programming, and then we moved on to the object-oriented programming. And that's where we are. So we know how to create the objects. And main part is how do we call the objects from the step definition files, because that becomes part of the framework. Okay, how do you call it? Now, if you look at the objects here, we haven't done any browser-based interaction or any interaction. So that is what we will talk today. We will start with the Watir WebDriver, and then we'll use that in our class file. Okay, and then we'll complete the test execution end to end. Now, in the first session, we set up some drivers. I'm hoping that you all have gone through the setup and have the appropriate drivers. I'm assuming you all have a Chrome installed on your machine. If you don't, you have to download the Chrome and install it. Okay. Otherwise, you need to download the Chrome and install it. Otherwise, it will not work. Now, there are drivers for Firefox as well. If you have Firefox, but I don't have Firefox on mine. But you can try it, see if it works with the driver on your machine. It's very easy to change from Chrome to Firefox and so forth. As we go through, I'll show you where to change and so forth. But your WebDriver will work with the Edge as well and the Internet Explorer. Okay, but we will utilize Chrome. So hopefully, as long as you have Chrome driver configured successfully, then you should be good to execute the test. Okay, so let's talk about what is Watir, and we dive into the actual WebDriver and see how we can use it. Okay, so Watir WebDriver and integration with Ruby. Now, WebDriver is a tool that will interact with the browser so that you can complete your automation test. Now, it is tool for writing automated tests for the websites. So if you have Windows-based application or mobile apps, it will not work. As long as it's a browser-based application, you can execute your automation test, and it will work for any of those tests, any of those applications. Ultimately, the goal we are trying to do here is to mimic the user, right? We understand some basic concept around it. The driver will interact with the HTML elements of that applications and then provide them commands, basically. Now, Watir, in the using the driver, you can also read the values, write the values, you can click on the buttons and so forth, basically. So we will see how that will work with each individual HTML elements. Okay, how does the driver interact? Now, Cucumber works very well with the WebDriver, whether it's a Selenium or Watir. It's a framework, right? Cucumber itself is a framework, basically. Framework meaning it comes with a certain built-in functionality and very easy to integrate with the WebDriver. Okay. Now, how did we install this Watir WebDriver? We use this command gem install Watir WebDriver. This is how you can install it. So if you open the DOS command or whatever Windows command prompt, right? You can just simply run this command and it will install the Watir WebDriver. That's what we did in the first session. This is how we install. And the same thing we did with the Selenium. Jam installed Selenium and it was installed Selenium. Okay, so that's the installation part of it is. Now it supports multiple browsers. As I said, I mean, it works with pretty much any browser that you have available. Okay, you can really see this image properly, but this is typical web page, right? It has a bunch of HTML elements, text box, you have chat, radio buttons, you have check boxes. Is anybody not familiar with the HTML side of things? Just let me know, okay? But this is a typical web app that you're gonna see. And if you looked at the Rflow one, it has a bunch of elements, something like that. It's a web-based forms. Now, I think we covered this in the first session. 99% of the time, we're gonna do either click on the things or input something, some values. That's how we do it manually. And drivers basically will do the same thing. Water or Selenium, they both are trying to do the same thing. Again, how they do it, they interact with the HTML elements and then issue the command, basically, that you need to do. Now, so the browser is open and you are running your automation test. So what the Water does or Selenium does, because it needs to know where those elements are, right? So typically the browser, anything that you see is more like a collection of all the HTML elements, right? So you have web page, you have text box, checkbox. It's kind of like a part of the list or collection that you will see on the page. Now, this is a typical syntax. Okay, this is the typical syntax for accessing the element, basically through the driver. So you have browser, name of the browser, whether it's a Chrome or whatever instance, right? Then you have HTML element, basically. So you have text box or checkbox, right? All the elements has some type of attributes. You guys remember from the HTML side of things, or you don't? Let me come here. Okay, so I'm gonna flip something here. Let me just get you a quick overview of HTML side of things, because that is. So when we talk about HTML, what does it have? So HTML, you have, first of all, if you look at any page, any web page, you will have HTML element, HTML closing tag. This is the starting, this is the ending tag. Then you have header. Okay. Header. And then there are two parts to HTML page. So you will always have a header. Then you have a body. Okay. So there is a body. So there are two parts to HTML, header and body. Now in the header, you could have title. And this is my homepage / title. So this starts with the title and it has this ending tag of / title. This slash indicates ending. So HTML with the /HTML, it is ending tag. Okay, so this is typical things you will see. Now on the body, this is where all your HTML application or any form that you have or any controls that you have will be here. Now, what are the typical controls? Obviously, you have text box. So the way you can write a text box is using this command input, and then you will have ID, and then you have some name XYZ. Sometimes you could have name as well. Okay, name is equal ABC. So HTML element, each element, this is a text box, right? So how do I say it's a text box? I would say type is equal text. Okay. Then name is equal ABC, and then you could have height. So there are certain properties. So now these are properties of a HTML element, basically. So input type is equal text, ID equals XYZ. Now you look at all the properties or attributes. These are name and value pair. Name and value pair. So ID is equal XYZ. This is the name of the attribute and this is the value of the attribute. Height is equal 100 pixel or 50 pixel. Width is equal 100 pixel or 500 pixel. Let's go with 500 pixel and so forth. Okay. And you have basically an element and something like this. I could have multiple elements. Input type is equal checkbox. ID is equal check 1. You could have name, you may not have a name, and that's it. And here you can say slash input. Now again, you are writing when you say slash end the element with this, that means there is an ending tag and starting tag in the same. Okay, but this is the ending part. This is the ending part. So HTML page has this type of typical things. Now I'm just going to save this file as a HTML file.
So that greater than less than symbol is the starting one and ending one, right?
Yes, starting tag, you have to follow the same tag, just like XML has the same type of tags, right? HTML has the same type of format. So let me see. I'm going to save it in the temp. Come on. Okay, test.htm or HTML, either one. You have to give some extension, either HTML or HTML. Okay, same file. Otherwise, browser will not recognize. Okay, so now I have this save this file. Now I can go here and go to the temp. See if I can open it up. See, now it shows browse because the extension is .htm or HTML. It says HTML document. It automatically knows. And now I can open this with the browser. So I can say, open with the Chrome. Okay, let's open with the Chrome. See if there are any errors. So now I said, see this checkbox. I can type it in text box. Okay, so these are some of the basic HTML elements. Now, if you go to the rflown, you will see the same thing, right? So you will see the same thing, but let's come back here. Now, how do I know what properties are there? What properties I specified? I can right click this element and say inspect. Okay, so it opens up and it says type is equal text, ID equals XYZ, name is equal ABC, height, width, and so forth. So this is my checkbox, ID equals that. So this is how you can see what things are associated with each element. Okay, so that's just a basic about HTML. Any question from anyone on this one? Okay, if not, then let's move on. Okay, so now it's a so HTML element, right, with specific attributes. So here you can specify this. So we'll take a look at the syntax as well. But this is the browser. Within browser, you have collection of HTML elements. So you are saying, okay, what element I want to interact with, and with using what attribute. So I can say ID equals this or name equals this and so forth. And then what action I want to take. So it's very straightforward syntax. Syntax wise, it's not that complex. You get a handle on the browser object, find the HTML element by specifying some ID or some attribute and the value. And then you want to say set or click. Those are the two actions you can take. Okay. That's a very typical syntax for this thing. So I think we already talked about the HTML part. So I'm going to skip this slide. Okay. This is just talks about what the HTML element looks like and so forth. We also talked about the HTML attributes or properties. So these are all the properties. This is not a comprehensive list. Okay, this is the common ones that you can use. So ID, name, class, directory, language, style, title, background, disabled, height, title, visible, enable, those are all our HTML properties. Okay. So remember, I showed you that I was typing in ID equals that for every element, right? Again, there are n number of properties, but these are the common ones. So I highlighted here ID equals because this is the most frequently used property to identify the element on the page. Anything that you see on the page generally has a unique ID assigned. So like text box, they will have a unique ID of XYZ, we assign. Checkbox has a unique ID of check one. It will not repeat on the same on that particular HTML page. Okay, that's the main purpose of the ID, to identify the element uniquely. Now, sometimes developers may not have ID specified. They might be using name. Again, name tends to be unique as well, but it's not guaranteed to be unique. Okay. Class is this is a CSS type of thing. So you can specify, find the elements based on the class as well. Okay, so see, if you know CSS, cascading style sheet, have you guys looked at it? So if I go to the, let's go here, it's also in.
After ID, there is class.
So is how to write name? Name equals to anything?
Yeah, so here, so I can have CSS. So here, class is equal. Now, this is not the same class that you have. This is a CSS cascading style sheet type of class. So it specifies the style, look and feel. It's used for look and feel for the site. So let me see if I go to the cnn.com, I can show you quickly what I mean by that. Okay, here, right? So if I want, how do I know what class is assigned? So I can right click on it, inspect, see if I can find a class, right? That is assigned. See here, class is equal login input.
Oh,
Okay, so there is a property called class login input. Now, obviously, you can't see the content, what is in the login input, but generally it will be something like the border will be round, the height and width will be this pixel and so forth. So that's how you can
Description of that field.
description for how this HTML page is supposed to look like. So that you have a class. Again, this one will have its class. So inspect. If I do this, again, it has a probably same
so
type of
right
class.
click, then inspect.
Yep. But let me see if I can see the button, right? So but you can see this thing class. Class is equal button now button contact. Okay, so there is a class assigned called button now button contact. Now, if you are not familiar with the CSS, then I would say CSS cascading. Or what is it, W3 schools, right? CSS tutorial and CSS introduction. So CSS stands for cascade, describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on the screen. Okay, and you can play around with this thing, but again, it says here, like this is for what the font's supposed to be, what the font size supposed to be, and everything. This is how it works, basically. Okay. All right, so let's come back.
CSS tutorial.
Yeah, w3schools.com and just type in CSS and you will see it. It's a cascading style sheet. Now you may not create it as a QA.
Maybe few of the properties of CSS. You can.
Yeah, height, width, all, there are no property. It's the same HTML elements, but you can create it within the CSS. See if I have an example here on the W3 schools.
Style sheet.
Cascading style sheet.
Style sheet. SHEET.
So let's come back here. Okay, so here. So let's see the exact couple of examples, right? CSS text. So this is how they have specified the style sheet. The body color has to be blue, color blue. So the background, you can say background color blue here, and try it yourself, right? So let's see, I can say background color blue. And if I run it, it will be blue. I just ran it here.
How it is different than the normal HTML code?
Because what you want to do is on every page, you want to apply the same style, right? Everything has to look and feel same. If I navigate Rflon pages one by one, everything looks same. Right? If I go to the Rflon, if I log in, see this look and feel here, fonts. Okay, so if I come to the next page, it will look exactly like this. There is not much difference, basically, right? With the font and everything should be very similar. So what you can do is you can simply create a one size style sheet and just apply on all the pages, including the text box and everything, basically, so that you don't repeat this. Otherwise, every element you have to say background color is equal blue or black or white, and then height is equal 100 and width is equal that one, and so forth. So if I do something like this,
So maybe the design of the look of the homepage, right?
yep, type is equal text box,
Website.
right? And here, let's say, I can say text box properties, color or background color. Without that, okay. So if I run this without this, right, I have a plain text box. It's shown on the right side. You guys can see, right? Yeah.
So this is basically design, how you are going to design.
How your page is supposed to look like?
Yeah.
It's mainly for look
Not
and feel.
individual.
Well, you can, so now what I'm going to do is, text box.
Individual elements?
Box
Oh,
or
okay.
a page.
So
how-
here
Define
I
all
can,
the things, that's what I meant.
I can say
I
style
think
is
it's
equal,
combined all the field
Hmm.
together, right, Harsha?
height is equal 50 pixel,
I
Hmm.
think it's combined with, it's the complete
width
page.
is equal 100 pixel. Okay, and anything else that you have, or background. So it's a name value again, okay? Background colors and then column is separated by column, and let's say green. Okay, so now I have three properties. I have specified the style. So if I run this without this guy, hopefully it will. So it changed. Oh, I changed the green and let's make it blue. So it looks different. See, so now this text box is changed. Height and width has changed. If I say height and width is equal to 200, let's see if it changes. So now it should look a little bit different,
Oh, yeah.
right? So it changes here. Now remember, if you have 50 text box on the page, you have to apply this thing, same thing over and over again for every text box.
So
Instead
you
of
want to
that-
apply it for individual text, or you do this one and it will work for.
So what I can do is, I can say text box,
So it will apply to all the.
All the text
boxes?
All the text.
yep, that is correct. So background
So
color
rather
green,
than writing individually,
yep,
like this, you can do.
yeah, it's the same as the other programming concept, reuse it.
The methods.
But if you need the same one for all text box.
Yes.
You want a different one, you have to specify
Yes.
that separately.
Those things they will provide, or how come we are going to know that?
No, so generally in the team, when you are developing there is a graphics designer or web designer, generally part of the team, they will come up with the color scheme, font scheme, and they will say, oh, this is a style sheet, go and use it.
I think mostly developer and
Well, developers,
Architect.
because companies cannot afford designers separately.
correct.
So typically developers will go and say, yep, and then they will work with the user.
So they will provide everything, you need, the tester just need to verify and test. it.
You don't worry about this thing as a tester, unless they have put it down in the requirement, the site has to look like this, and something is different.
It's tester, everything will be there, just you need to
Yeah.
test.
Yeah.
You just need to test the functionality, remember,
Yeah.
look and feel wise, if something is wrong, yes, you can ask them to correct. Okay, but you guys understand the concept, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, yes, and the same thing, you can put it in the class, basically. I can and apply those class to different text box, check box, and all those things. They'll look and feel different.
Yeah, so which ones should we practice in the?
CSS, I wouldn't say you want to practice, just understand there's a class file that is available as a property,
Mhm.
and you can find the controls, HTML controls, using the class name that you have. Okay, that's what we are talking about here. That's the reason the discussion came in.
Mhm.
But since you guys didn't know what the class file looks like and so forth. But again, as I said, ID is the most common one, name is second one, and class is the third one. Everything else you can forget about it, unless you need to use it. 99% you will use ID.
ID.
If ID is not there, name would be there. If name is, both are not there, then class file, you can use it to find the elements. Everything else, practically there is no use for finding the elements. Okay. All right, so we talked about how the HTML page looks like, what are the different controls on the page. Now, let's talk about the actual driver. What we do as part of the web driver. Obviously, when we talk about web driver, before the web driver interacts with the HTML page, it needs to open a browser or create an instance of a browser. So this is a common syntax. So here I see Water and then this browser syntax, right? This is the one.
Where is?
Oops. Water, this name here,
Oh,
two semicolon, columns,
the cursor.
two, okay?
The
two
cursor is
columns.
not coming there.
Where is the cursor?
Oh, you don't see the cursor?
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, okay, good.
Yeah,
All right, so you see the Water and then browser. So there are two columns,
Oh, yeah.
okay? This is a syntax. So programming, you have to follow syntax. So browser dot new. So what we are saying is use the Water web driver. Within web driver, there is an object called browser. We instantiate that object called browser dot new. Initialize. Remember the initialization part.
Okay.
Now, what browser we want to initialize? We want to
Okay.
initialize Firefox or Chrome or IE. So that's the parameter that you are passing for that.
And browser should be capital B.
Yes, it has to follow the syntax. It's a case sensitive. So if you are lowercase b, it will not work. Now, what is this b? What is the b in the front? It's just a variable.
Oh,
Okay, it's a local variable, right? So I'm creating the instance and putting it. But when we see the class file, we'll be creating an instance variable.
Yeah.
At b, because we want to use it in other methods. Okay, but here for now, it's just think it as a variable that we are creating. Okay, so that's the first part. You have to initialize the browser.
mhm.
Second part is I need to go to the page somehow, right? And that's why you need to specify the URL for your application. So here in this example, I'm issuing a command. So once I have object, then I can issue the commands browser.goto. So these are methods available within the Water browser object. Okay, so go to and then whatever site you want to go to. Okay.
Okay.
If you want to refresh the browser, you can issue b.refresh and it will refresh the browser.
Oh.
B dot.
So here also B is the variable, right?
Yeah, it's a variable, same variable that we are referencing now. You instantiate once, then you refer that variable in your program. Same thing here. Again, you can name it, put a daisy. Daisy equals Water browser. Then you refer it as a daisy.refresh or daisy.quit, whatever.
And
right?
the quit means you're closing.
Closing the browser. Okay. So there are some basic commands for interacting with the browser. Okay, now how do we get, because our main goal is once we instantiate a browser, go to the site, then we want to actually get handle on the actual HTML elements and then maybe type in the value, input the values, or read some value and so forth. So this is the way you can interact with the text box. B text field, text underscore field. Now, as I said, you need to specify how you are going to find an object, specific element, right? That's where I'm specifying the ID here. So I'm going to find that text box by supplying the ID equals something that is available for the text box. Okay, and then finally action is set. So if I come back here, last part is action. What are you,
Just click
once you get the handle on the object, what you want to do? So here, when you say set, right?
set
What is that column?
This is the syntax. This is the syntax for the attribute.
Parentheses, then column.
Yep. Column ID or column name. Remember, there are a bunch of elements available, right? I'm using ID in this example to find the element on the page,
Find the element.
because browser needs to interact with a specific element. If there are 50 text boxes on the page, how does browser know? This is how you will specify. ID equals whatever the
The
ID.
element will be accessed. Starting with the column.
Yeah, this is the syntax. This is the syntax. So if you are basically, this is ID, right? But so column name, columns class,
Ah.
something like that. Okay, if you are using different mechanism.
So, Harshal, how to know which box, how to refer that? I mean, how to find?
So
This
this is
column,
ID. So you will know, right, based on the design.
okay,
Working with the developers while creating the automation test, you will know, okay, what is
Okay.
it, text box or checkbox that you are interacting with? And how do I find it? So they will tell you the ID, or they will say, oh, wait until I have this first mock-up done, and then you can work with the IDs at that point.
okay, thank you.
But ultimately, you want to take some action. So here I'm saying setting the value
set.
to,
Dot set.
dot set.
Yeah, dot set.
Remember, following the syntax here, right? This is what we are following. Browser instance. So B dot what element? So I'm using ID with specific attribute. So that's where ID equals whatever ID. And then what action I want to take. Now, when you say set, what are you setting? So you have to supply the value. Okay, so that's how you can say, open the browser instance, find the text ID equals text, and set the value to whatever web driver in that text box. Now, same way you can read the value. This is how you are reading it. Get value. How do I read something that is on the text box? Dot value, and it will return some value, whatever you typed in, or whatever the value text box has. You can use the clear command to clear the value. The important part is, once you get a handle on the object, then you can do different actions. Read the value, set the value, clear the value, whatever you need to.
Get the values, we're going to read it.
There is no get.
Get value.
No, this is just a comment. There is no, this is what it is. The command is this.
Okay.
B dot text value. This
So that is
is,
for reading the value.
yep,
right?
that is for reading the value.
So is it recording?
Yes, it is recorded. Okay, so this is for reading the value
Okay.
and clearing the value, dot clear.
Okay.
Again, similar commands will repeat with other things, but there are some differences. So this is just a text box element, right? You can do some interaction. You can do with the same thing with the button. You can do dot enabled in question mark. Now, what does the question mark will do? What is a question mark in the Ruby programming? It returns true or false. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So there is a method on this button object, not enabled. So that means it checks, hey, is button enabled or disabled? If it's enabled, then it will return true. If it's not enabled, then it will return false. You can read the button's text, dot text, and it will read whatever text is on the button. It will return. And finally, you can click on it. Because ultimate goal is you want to simulate, right? So you can click on the button.
Mhm.
By the way, you don't have to memorize these methods. In the Ruby mine, when you type in certain commands, it will show you all the methods available. So that you can see. But these are general methods that you're gonna use. Okay, checkbox. So you're gonna get the checkbox and then set. Or set to true or false. So what the first one does? If it's unchecked, then it will check it. If it's checked, then it will uncheck it. Okay, that's the first line for the checkbox. Will do. It just says set. Okay, so this one. This line, if the checkbox is already checked, then it will uncheck it. It will click again and it will uncheck. Okay, if it's not checked, then it will check it. On the second line that I have, second command,
It will be
it's
checked on.
saying it true, so that means checked. It will not uncheck, basically. It will always set to true. Again, same thing, you can do clear, set false, and so forth for the checkbox. And if you just want to check whether it's a checked or not, then you can do set question mark.
Oh.
Because you want to see, is it checked or not?
Mhm.
So there is a command available, dot set question mark. Now you can use this guide, what you have, I think these are the 99% of the time, it will help you for all your automation testing. Okay, whatever commands are here. Obviously, you can always Google, if something is not there, you can always Google and figure out, hey, what else is there? Same thing with the link, right? Click. I have enabled, link is enabled or not, links text. I can read the text that is for the link. Click it and so forth. So I'm here using 3 different things to find the link. ID, the text of the link, and then click it, or URL of the link and then click it. Remember, link has different properties, URL has it, right? Link has text, link has URL, you can link could have ID, could have a name. You can use all different properties, basically. Here. To find the link and then click on it. Okay. Now list box. List box is nothing but a drop down route, right? So you can select the value from the list box using dot select and whatever value you are selecting. So you guys remember the list box, right? It has a name, value with text will be shown, but there is always in the back end, you will always have a value as well. So
List of
text and
values.
value.
Yeah.
So your list of text, each text will have its own value.
Mhm.
It can be different, okay? It may not be same. So here, you can select the list based on the text that is shown in the drop down, or you can select using the ID. ID basically. Select value and select. There is 2 different methods available.
Both are different or does the same one?
No, this is the, so list box has 2 things, right?
List box has listed values and each value has another list. Like,
So if you go to the user management. Yeah. So this user type,
mhm.
so these are text. This is what you see.
Yeah.
But if I right click on inspect, each value. So here you can really see the values. So what I'm going to do is. View page source.
Text has again number of values.
What was that? Users comment. Okay, see if I can find it. This one does not show the list items that is populated here. Why doesn't it show? It's using a bunch of JavaScript, that's why. But let's see w3schools.com. Okay, HTML, let's find a drop down, forms. Ranged, these are all input buttons. Okay, select is there. Let's see where is the select. Okay. So you see here, so each value has its, so this is a text, that's what you will see here. Okay, but then there is a value associated with every list item. Okay, so this is what we are talking about. If you use a select command using HTML, then it will check in the text. So it will look for, select the value based on the text that is shown.
Of the text.
Yeah, based on this value.
Text has a value.
Yes. So this is called value. This is called text.
Text, yeah.
Okay, and these are the values, basically as a value attribute. Okay, so that's what we are talking about here.
Then value can be different for each text.
Yeah, value can be different for each text. Yes, that is correct. In that example, it was same. But if you select it, then you can use the select list and you say dot select, so it will search the text items and find the value and select it. But if you use this command, select underscore value, so it will, yeah, yep, it will select the value.
It will say the
Select the value, basically
Values
based
of
on
the
the
particular text.
value of the particular text. Yes, that's correct. Now again, there are values selected, get value, you can read the value from there, get all items, and then you can look through. So options dot each do, again, you are looping through each item and then printing out the text.
Who was that when looping out all the
So list has a multiple values, right? So you can loop through each list item that is in the drop down, and then here in this code, I'm just printing it out on the screen. But if you want to do something else, then you can do it programmatically.
I don't think.
Because it's a list, multiple values, it's more like an array type of thing. You each and do, so you loop through and do some action.
and the value is selected means just check if value is selected or not.
Yeah, you just check it, yeah. For particular, so if I say here in our example, maybe Volvo, is Volvo selected or not?
Okay.
Because it's a selected property, right? Again, radio button, you have similar to the checkbox, right? Set and so forth, check or uncheck, that's all radio button can do. It does not have clear.
What is the
Oh, you don't know radio button, so radio button is something here. So checkbox is easy, right? Let's come back here, input types. So checkbox is like that. Now if you come here, radio, so it will be round, basically, it will show as a round. So come here, let's see, radio button, radio. Yep, this is radio, right? These are, you can select one of the item.
The circle button. Okay,
Circle.
the circle button.
This is radio button.
Oh.
Okay. This is radio.
I think we need to go through the W3 schools.
Yes, I mean, HTML is very important for automation, as we said, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's not a good thing about there are only limited set of elements. It's not like thousands of
For
elements.
any web browser,
You need to understand HTML. Yeah, that is correct. Image has certain attributes like SRC is there, height, width, all those things. So you can check certain things like height. What is the height of the image? What is the width of the image? Can I click on image? Clicking that loaded or not? You can check those things. Again, elements are different, but see the syntax is same. And that's what makes it Water a lot easier than Selenium. Selenium is a little bit different syntax.
That's it,
Okay, because you're gonna do the same thing exactly in Selenium, but it's just a little bit different syntax.
Oh,
Okay, to find the element, you will use some other syntax. So div, table, so remember there is a HTML table, you have tr, td in that HTML table, so you can work through all these different things. Look through the table items and find the proper appropriate row and so forth. You can play around on your time.
DIV.
With div, it's a div. Yeah, it's a div. It's a div. It's a HTML tag div. Generally, when you open the same application, most of the people use div these days to make it mobile friendly. So when you rotate, when you look at the same application on your phone versus use it on the computer versus use it on the tablet, it looks a little bit differently.
Look and feel will be different.
So div, they use div
It will be
basically.
same for all.
Yeah, well, div, you can create the same look and feel using the div tags.
Oh, it will work for three.
It will automatically adjust the heights and width and so forth. With you apply a little bit style sheet, class files, like cascading style sheet, right? CSS on the divs, and it will automatically adjust those things. Okay, but it's a div is there. It's nothing but a block, some area or section, division on the page. That's all.
There is saying
It's not for input. You cannot input in the div. It's a section on the page. That's what.
the down in the line is says d dot divs.
The divs dot, because there could be multiple sections, right, on the page. So here, what they are saying is find the div one from the, it's an array, right? Because there are multiple sections on the page. You can call it as a divs array as well.
Can you see one example?
I don't have it one here, but this is divs, right? So you have everything is a collection. For HTML page, everything is a collection. So you have all the controls, and it's an array of all the controls. So first element you will see here.
So div is array of all the controls.
When you say give b.divs, gives me all the divs on the page. So if I have 5 divs basically with a different name, so I can start with 0, 1. If I say div 0 means the first div on the top of the page, div 1, that means the second div, third div, fourth div, and fifth div, something like that. So it's everything is a collection.
Div and not able to understand. What is a div?
Divs is a collection of all the div. Yeah, this is DIVS. It's a collection. That's the reason you can say index. Give me the first div, second div, third div, fourth div,
So-
fifth div.
One is the
Like the
index.
array.
Yeah, it is array. It is array.
Okay.
On the page, if you have multiple divs, you can call it as div 0. So that will give me the first one. Div 1 would be the second one, because it's a 0 index, right?
So
Zero
it's
value
put
index.
S over there, that means more than one
Yeah.
block is there.
Yep, that is correct.
Oh, okay.
And when you play around, you just play around with this. You can see, you will see divs.
Same
as
with
well.
W3.
Yeah, no, not W3. When you write the example, right? Just say b.divs or something like that, and we will see. If the page has multiple connection, we can print it out on your in the test.
And it's written in square bracket 1.
Remember, this is array. It's array.
Index.
Index.
It's an
Oh,
index,
oh,
right? It's array index.
Mm.
So b.divs return all the divs on the page, starting with the 0 index. Basically, it's a collection. but here in this line is checking, hey, is the div one, which is the second div on the page, exist or not? When present, dot text. Basically, so reading the text of that.
Okay.
You cannot write the text, okay, at the div. You can only read from it,
Oh.
because it's not an input element or anything else. It's
Then
just
what
a
is the
block.
difference between select and div?
No, there is no select here for div.
No, that's what I'm asking. What is the difference in select also? We are.
So select applies only to this list box. List, only you can apply this command on list box. You will not see for div. As soon as you say b.divs, select will not be available.
Okay, so what is there for div?
Div, or you can only do is read the values.
Read.
Only
Yeah,
read.
read the values,
No
read the values from the div. It's not an input element. I cannot type it in the div. It's a read-only text, basically. So I would suggest you play around on the W3 school, understand what the div looks
Just
like.
get the value.
Yeah, it will just read the value.
Okay.
Oh, that's all you can do.
Read the value.
Read.
Yep. Yeah, that's all you can do with the div.
Mm.
Again, same thing, table, you cannot do much other than reading the values of the each columns and rows, basically, elements in the table.
The table is only for read only.
Yeah, table is typically read only. You can read the different text, and so forth. Now, one thing is that you can click on it and certain elements, basically, within the table.
Then how table and div are different?
Table and divs are different because table is more of a fixed width. And so it doesn't change. And that's the reason I said mobile friendly apps, they use divs. You cannot expand collapse tables. It's a fixed width type of thing. Table works, it's just like Excel table. So you have columns and rows. Div doesn't have columns and rows. It's just a section on the page, basically. So, yeah, so if you come here, yeah, I mean, there are certain elements.
It must be looking like this, yeah.
So here, so let's come to W3 schools.
It's
Right.
not a tabular form, so no rows, no column.
Yep, that is correct.
It's only a block.
Yep, so here, let's see, find the div, see if we have it. Table, and div. Paragraphs, so there are other commands are
Yeah,
there.
you see, it's there, Harshal. Yeah, down here.
So this is a table. So here displaying list of values on a table. Okay, so I'm gonna say try it myself. So this is TRTD, right? So this is how I can define the table. Then every row, so this is the first row. So this is where first row I have a company, contact and county. Then I go to the end row and then I say TR. This is actual start of the row. So within TR, I have 3 columns, TD, starting, ending. So these are 1, 2, and 3 columns. So it goes in here. So you define it something like this. Obviously, you will have ending table, right? So now if you look at div, see if we can find div. Div should be here. It's a very common. Div. Let's see if I can find it.
So how you are pronouncing div?
It's a div.
Div?
Division, yeah, div, something like that. Div. If I go to the responsive, see if I can see the div. Okay. So in the responsive design, as I said, typically the divs are used. Okay.
What?
So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you here. This is a responsive design, mobile friendly. Responsive meaning mobile friendly. If I look this page on mobile phone versus tablet versus our computer, it will look a little bit different. But here, I could have done this thing, right? This is one row or one block. So this is I have defined this div W3 schools. So this is the top div, right? This is the second div. Now in the mobile friendly design, it wraps up. So if it's a small one,
Correct.
Everything will be one by
It
one.
will fit
It will fit the width. Yep,
as per the size.
that is
of the
correct.
brand.
Size and those things. So that's what exactly these guys are doing here. Right? So if I add another div here,
The block in this is like a.
and I can say something like this /div, right? And I'll run it. Now I will see something here without any style here, right? So I didn't specify any style, let's say background color. Black. Okay. No. And I need to say style equals. Okay, so now I put the black color on the div. So now the main thing is it spans all the way. This div spans all the way from left to right. So it covers the whole thing. Now, if you have to work, if you want to, you can create the same thing with the table. Okay, table design, TR, TD, it's a one column. That's all it layout is, one column. But it does not collapse when you look at on different.
That says it like resize this responsive.
Yep, that is correct. This is just text they have it. Nothing to do with, but this is how they will create the responsive design
Yeah,
using the div.
that's why they're using this one.
Yep, that is correct. So this is an example for that.
So the designer wants to be learning all this.
Yeah, so that's why you have some designers, generally in the company, big companies, they have web designers, and graphic designers, web designers. And they will create the layout and then they will head it over to developers. In the small companies, developer will create certain things. Okay, but you understand that div, right? Well, what it is, it's just an area section of the block where you can format your own things and you can have text within, so input boxes as well, okay? It's not just something like this, but I can create my own text box. Input type is equal text. Okay, and I can create those text boxes right here within the div. Okay, now this text box you can interact and do something with it, but with the div, only thing you can do is read the text from the actual div. Oops. All right, so let's come back. So now, so again, table has certain properties, you can play around when you get a chance. But again, these are some of the common ones. I think exist is the most frequently used one. So if you are saying I am on the admin homepage and I can see I'm logged in as admin, then I should see my admin homepage. You can use the exist to verify certain things for the admin.
I mean, those things will already exist.
No,
The preconditions.
if I'm logged in as admin, right? How do I know it's I'm on admin homepage? Your scenario is given I am on our floor, when I log in as admin, then I shall see my homepage, admin homepage. Now you have to verify, right? Provide some logic to say, hey, if I log in as admin, then I should see certain things. If I log in as dealer, then I should see certain things for dealer. You can use this exist
For verification.
command for verification. Okay, and I'll show you one where when we actually build something. Same thing, there is a enable present, there are a few commands, but exist is the most frequently used one. And so forth. You can actually save the screenshot of the page and save it in your test automation, because sometimes this is helpful because you don't know where the error is happening or what you are saying or why it's not working. Then you can save the screenshot on your machine where you are running and you can see it. Okay, this is actually how it looked or why it failed and so forth. Let's see. Again, I said there is everything is a collection, right? So b.text fields here, it gives me all the text boxes on the page. It's not a text field, it's a text fields. It's a collection of all the text boxes. Then I can iterate through each of them, just like divs. We saw that divs thing. iterate through each of them and then maybe print out, do something with them. Okay. So again, there are text fields, a couple of methods like a zero index, right? One, so I can print out first one, second one, whatever name of each of them in this example.
So collection of text fields means.
All the text boxes on the
Number.
page, all the text boxes on the page, and then I want to do iterate through it and maybe put some additional logic. Only if you have to do it. Yeah, what I'm saying is collection method is also there for each element or each type of element. Like divs has it, text boxes, check boxes, they all have collection available. Now waiting, you can put waiting time. What typically you do is, so here. I can, once I click on the button, sometimes the page site is very slow, right? Then it doesn't load within 30 seconds, then your test will time out. What you can do is you can put some wait time, 5 seconds. This one says wait for 5 seconds before going to the next step, execution one.
5 seconds, 5 minutes.
Well, 5 seconds, this is always seconds, so you
It's
can,
not minute.
no, you can
No.
put 300 seconds.
Okay.
That is 5 minutes, right? So you can just wait is equal to 300.
So how much maximum you can go?
I don't think there's a maximum, but the whole point is automation is you want to get it done in 5 seconds, right?
Okay.
So it says that we don't recommend it, but while you are debugging through, maybe you want to put this wait time and then remove it afterwards. Okay. So sometimes the elements, like there are some maps and those things available. Basically, I don't know whether you guys have seen any map that is on the browser, which is like clickable areas and so forth. So if you haven't, then I wouldn't go worry about this much, because it's not a common thing for you to test, create automation. Okay, but you can use XPath queries.
Expert.
So XPath works with, if you don't know, I would suggest you read upon it. XPath, there is always a lot more things in IT, right?
Are we going to use this one?
No, I don't think.
Automation?
Not with this automation. As I said, this is a specialized case where you have maps and certain things you cannot get handle using the HTML elements. Okay, that's where you have to use XPath queries. But 99% of the time you will use the elements that I have talked about.
Let's say example.
This is the example, right? The map. This is the map. Again, map has a clickable areas. So if there's some US map is shown and you are clicking on certain tags and it shows you something else, you cannot just simply use the element ID and do something, because you have to click at certain position and so forth. That's where you will need to use XPath queries.
Maybe like in the Google map.
Yeah, kind of Google Maps shown on the page, web page,
Yeah.
but it's interactive. Like if you look at the election thing, right?
You have to access the elements, right?
Yeah.
You are using the map.
That is correct. Yeah, so but you have to use different method element by XPath, and then you have to basically specify certain additional thing. So I wouldn't worry about this thing right now. Let's not even go there because you guys will get confused. So if you come across it, you can always Google it and work through it. 99% of the time, you will use other things. 1% you can always Google it. But XPath is available. Just remember only that part.
But it's always used to look at the elements or to access the. elements.
XPath, you can use it to access the elements as well. But there is a special syntax you have to follow.
Okay.
And it's based on the XML. So unless your HTML is well structured, starting tag, ending tags, all of them have it, you cannot use XPath. It has to be well structured. Each element has to have a starting and ending tag and so forth. Then only you can navigate through using the XPath of the browser.
Okay.
See here in this example, I'm using XPath syntax to find the image, basically, and then clicking on it. In this example, okay, it says browser.button. Then I'm using XPath as an element. That ID is instead of ID, I'm using XPath. Then I'm supplying XPath query. Okay, and I know you guys, most of you don't understand this syntax, but it's traversing through the XML structure. because HTML is, if it's well formed, then it is technically XML. So I'm using that structure here to find the element and click on it. I would suggest you, what is it? Yeah, so it's looking for the image / get all the images where SRC is equal 4 JPEG. SRC equals 4 JPEG, whatever this JPEG. SRC is URL, right? And technically URL. And then /input. And then .click. Again, I said syntax wise, read upon the XPath. If you have a question, let me know, but it's a complicated subject.
Yeah, syntax is also different, right?
It is
Because
different.
For, yeah,
Yes,
for
it is
user ID, for ID, we are
Yep,
given
ID of those controls.
Like this, but here is different.
It's a different, it's an XPath query. That's why it's called XPath queries. It's more like a query. You are querying the XML or HTML to find the certain element and working through it.
Specifically the map, like Google Map and all those, we are finding.
No, because
places.
here, yeah, see here in this example, this is the XML, right? If you look at it, this is really XML, right? Table, starting, ending tag, your TR, ending tag, then you are repeating that. This is XML structure. If it's well-formed XML, HTML is basically. So here I'm using / image, so giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Then I'm saying SRC equal 4.jpg. Okay, there is a dot missing here. So this is what it's looked for. Okay, and then /input. So within this image, there is a button there. So it's finding this button and then clicking on it. But it's a different structure. It's querying my HTML, basically. Good thing this one was the last one.
So it went off of our end.
Okay, so, all right, so I think the last 2 pages are just a summary of what you have
So
available.
why they use it, for the mapping, like it's easier to find elements?
No, because there is always complexity comes in the picture, right? I mean, there are no IDs, you don't see ID specified here, no names, there is nothing but SRCs, right? So you can really get, I mean, technically you can say image and SRC at HTTPS, whatever, right? SRC is available, then you can use it to find that. But see, button doesn't have ID. Both have same type, right? There is no ID assigned to the button. So how do I find this button and click on it? That's where they are using the SRC.
To locate that. where is it?
Finding the image first and then identifying the next button and then clicking on it. That's where this complexity comes in the picture.
That's the use of it.
Yep, that's why you have to figure out alternative ways to how do I find it, basically. Yeah. Now it says here, right, problems with XPath, it's always slower because it had to traverse through a lot of HTML elements and find it. That's the reason. If the page layout is changed, the more chances of fail. Because if a page is constantly updated with the new content, you cannot, your SRC may not work, XPath may not work.
So that's why.
Your test will keep on breaking. Yeah,
Okay, so very less use of.
yeah,
this.
let's use only special situations. Okay. All right, so now we have understood some basic things. So let's see what we're going to do over next hour. Then we'll come back and we'll go through some more.
We are somewhere now.
Okay, so now the fun part starts. Okay, let me quickly show you and I'll let you guys work through. So let's work through this example. So this is what I'm going to use,
Oh,
this particular scenario. And I'll paste it in the chat and I'll email you if you guys want it, but you can write it down. But assume this is the scenario we have. Okay. My feature is this. I have new login.feature, login_feature.feature I created. And I'm creating this. Everybody clear? Good, right? This is a simple scenario. I'm logging in and admit.
yeah.
All right, good. So now first thing, what is my first step? I need to create the step definition, and which is easy, right? Gonna create all step definitions. And I'm going to create a new file. Let's call login feature steps. I'm just going to name it that way. All right, let's get rid of pending. All right, so that's good. It's good. Now I'm going to run it. I think it should run. Okay, so now what is my next step? I need to create a class file. Okay, so I create in the support folder, new file, login underscore feature dot RB,
Class.
login underscore class dot RB, login underscore class dot RB. Okay. All right. How do I create a class file? Class login class. I'm going to name it as a login class, but you can create simply as a login. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think that's what we think about it.
The other one.
Okay, so I am on home page. I'm login. When I log in as admin, so I'm gonna need 3 methods, right? So let's come back here. Login underscore features. No, this is not the step class. Okay, so first method is def visit rflown. Okay. Second one is
Login.
login. Okay.
User type.
And then, well, let's see login, right? I'm just going to put login for now. Then third is verify homepage. Okay, so I have 3 methods that goes along with my steps. Okay, great. Now, again, let's say I have another scenario because I know there is one more scenario coming. So admin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to parameterize or create arguments for this in the step definition. So instead of this, I'll say admin for now, right? These two,
Then argument.
and I pass the argument and say user type, and this argument as homepage type,
Homepage.
because this is homepage and this is user. Okay, so same thing. So if I do that, this parameter needs to go to the class file. So I need to go and update my class file. Login class. So here, login, user type, verify homepage type. You can give whatever name you want, but I'm just keeping it same. Okay. Now the important part. So I think you all have up to here. Now what we do? So in my login class, I need to actually perform the actions. Okay, so if I will flip back to my page here. So first action, what we need is okay, so we need this guy. So first thing, you need to start a new browser session. Okay, and I'm going to use Chrome. Okay, so this is the syntax I can follow. You can copy paste it or type it in, doesn't matter.
So we are not creating any new and accessing the values,
New means what?
the instance of the.
Oh, let's hook that up, right? Okay, so let's come back. Let's hook that up first. You can do it later on, but let's hook up.
Oh, we can do
That
later.
is required, right?
Yeah. Well, you can complete the class or come back here. So let me just create it here, like L equals
And
login class
class
dot new. Okay, so now I created this class in the step definition. Now I can call appropriate method L dot visit,
Yeah, no, then
L dot login, right? And it takes a user type parameter. So I'm gonna pass in the user type
the type.
and L dot
And this is the verification.
verify. Okay,
Any doubt for this one?
Very good.
yeah, it's a lowercase, right? So homepage type. Okay, so now everything is hooked up and I should run, you guys should run it and technically it will pass.
So
Okay.
first check that, then go for the.
Yeah, then you can come back. Again, this is a sequence you want to follow, right? But again, you can create the class and then come back and hook up here as well. If you know, once you get more experience, then you can go and create the class appropriate way and then hook that up. Call it from the step definition, which is fine. Okay. Okay, so here, So visit our flow. So here now you need to use the login. Now remember, every class you can put the initialize method because we want to create the browser instance once. Okay, so best place to put it is in the initialize.
After class, before the first.
Doesn't matter, order doesn't matter. Okay,
Oh, you can put that in the middle somewhere.
yeah, anywhere. Initialize method can be, I can put it here, who cares?
Oh.
Doesn't order doesn't matter. Okay, but just to put, I'm just
Should be
going.
there.
Yeah, so initialize method is the best place to instantiate a browser object. Okay, so now I put the def initialize. Initialize a class. Don't forget the class has initialize constructor method. This is a constructor method for the class, right? The constructor method is the best place. Okay, so I'm gonna come here, copy this one, and I'll put it. Now here, that it says B, right? Now what we want, so B is a local variable. This variable will not be available outside this initialize. So what you need to use it to use the instance variable.
So for that, you have to-
So this variable, if you define instance variable, you can use it in this other methods.
Oh.
But you create once and then use it in the other method. The browser instance is created. And now you can call it appropriately from the different place.
So instead of Chrome, we can use.
I would suggest
Firefox.
stick to the Chrome first, make sure your test works, and then you can change it to, all you have to do is change it to Firefox here and see if it runs.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You just have to change the browser.
That's all.
Turning on.
That's all.
Okay.
Nothing else. Okay, so at B here, right? All right, so let's come back, visit our flow. So what does it mean when you say visit our flow?
Go to the.
Go to our flow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this,
Google.
right?
Yeah.
Or you can type it in at B dot, and you will see go to. And it gives you hint as well. Go to and what URL. And then I will just type it in HTTP, our flow websites.
Oh,
No, what is it?
yeah, website.
Okay, Azure website.
oh,
Flow.azure website. So I'm just going to copy that URL and paste it here so that you don't have typos. Okay, make sure that URL works because most of the time I've seen a lot of error. You don't type it in properly and it's going to throw you error. Okay, so this my visit method is done because at this point I will be on the Alphron homepage. Now I need to do login, and I know I have a user type coming in admin, and I need to log in as admin. So let's put without it. So here there are two controls which I'm interacting with, and the one
Login.
login.
Yeah.
Is it a button or link?
It's a button.
It looks like button, okay? But then when you look at that HTML, it's a /a, it's a HTML, it's a link,
It's a link.
but link looks like button.
Oh,
Don't be deceived by the look and feel. That's where you need to go and check each element, what it is. Okay, but it's a link. Okay, so I need to have three things here, three actions. When I say login, that means I'm typing in into a user, typing in password, and so there are three different controls I'm interacting. So that's where I flip back to our guide and I'll say, okay, so I'm gonna use this command, right? The text box, because these are text box, right? This is text box, this is text box. So I need to use set the values. So this is what I'm going to use. So I'm not going to copy paste here. I'm going to type it in at B dot text field. Okay. Now it says what ID. So now I have to follow a column ID and then this syntax and then put the ID of this within this curly whatever the SIG quotes basically. Yeah, it's a single or double, doesn't matter. Okay, single or double doesn't matter. I can use double quotes and then I have dot set and then whatever username password. So this is a text box as training. Now what is ID? I need to
Better to type it.
yes, it's better to type it. If you copy paste don't do it,
Okay.
so that you understand what you are typing.
Okay.
Okay, now I hit ID, but what ID? So that's where I need to go in here, because I don't have developer sitting with me, so I only thing I have available is actual app. So I'll come here and I'll find the ID. So this is the name, but this is the ID. This is the ID equals whatever. So I'm just going to double click on it, copy, paste. So this is my first interaction.
Can you do that? again? Something.
Yes, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it on the next thing.
Okay.
So again, next box interaction is
The
here,
password.
password. So at B, password is again text field, colon ID, then this symbol, okay,
Then codes.
dot set
Set.
and training, because training is the password that I'm typing in.
Okay.
Now I need to find the ID and plug that in.
Oh,
So you come here, right click on it,
inspect.
inspect, and you will see name here. I don't need name, I need ID. So this is the ID. So I'm just going to double click on it,
Because it's
copy.
written password there, that's why you have to click.
No, this is what it finds. This is a type equals password, but this is the control. It's not about password written. It's about this control inspect. Wherever it takes you, you need to get the ID from there.
Got it.
Whole field.
It's highlighting the.
Yeah, it's highlighting the whole field and all the attributes,
Got it.
but you need to get the ID attribute. Double click and copy, then you will be able to copy, Control C, Control V.
Oh,
Okay, so now I have third, go to the B dot,
So this
Next
is
on
kind
the-
of copy paste.
yeah. At B dot, now what control, what type of control I'm looking at?
So
Login.
That login.
Link.
It's a link, right?
Yeah, it's a link.
So B dot link,
Link.
okay, and then ID, again, I'm going to use ID
Yeah.
dot click, right?
Oh,
This is what we want. Link and buttons are clicks,
Click. Okay.
right? Everything else is set.
Mhm.
Okay, what is my ID? So I come here, inspect, and let's see, okay, the ID is right here, A, this is the first one, so I'm just going to grab it and paste it. Okay, so my one part is there.
Mhm.
Now, at this point, so once I do that, click, I should be on the home page.
Yes.
Okay, so let me go here. Now, I need to verify something, right?
Mhm.
Verify homepage.
Mhm.
So what am I verifying? What's unique about this page for admin?
Oh, for admin,
This-
any
this
data
one,
management,
Yeah.
This one will be shown for admin, or the user management will be shown.
user management.
Just gonna stick to the admin. Again, I see what type of control it is. Let's see. So it's a link as well.
Mhm. ID.
Okay, so again, so I can copy paste simply this thing,
So again, we are going to do the ID.
right?
ID only, but it's a link.
It's a link.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, what are we doing with this? When you say verify,
It's a verified one.
so what you can do is, remember that exist, there is a visible. So when I log in,
It's a visible.
the link may not be visible if I'm logging as a dealer, this particular one. So I can see dot and see what's available.
Mhm.
Visible is there,
Question.
exist is there, right? So you can use either one. So let's use visible. So what it will do is, this one will return true or false from this function,
Mhm.
right? Because this line will have some return value,
Return some values.
right? The last line is always return, or you can say return at B. So whatever value comes out, it will be returned to the calling function.
Mhm.
So always write return over there. at the end.
For the verification,
For
yes,
verification.
because you want to use it in your step definition to pass or fail.
Okay.
You cannot pass or fail from the class file. You have to go to the step definition. Remember, this function is called by the step definition,
Mhm.
and that's where you are passing or failing. So now I go back to, once I have this function written down, everything hooked up, I go back to my step definition. And I'll say one command, fail unless verify homepage is true. So if the link is visible, that this one will contain the value of true. right? Then it will pass my scenario. So what this one says, you have to pass or fail. So we are telling script or tool what you need to do to pass the scenario. This is what it will tell. Fail unless this value is true. And what makes it true? Again, if the element is present, not this one. If this element is visible, then it will pass the value, the feature. So now I'm going to run it. And see if it works. Okay, so now it's actually opening the browser at this point. Okay, it's already done. So it says the test result pass. Okay, it goes very fast.
Yeah.
Okay, you may not be able to see, but all you care about is did it take does it pass or fail on the right side? Okay.
But you said something like we can set some time or something, right?
Yeah, so you can put the time here. Basically, or put in the verification step in the step definition. Let's see.
At least it will wait for maybe 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Yep. You want to see it? Yep. So you copy.
So we have to keep this syntax handy. Like that on the screen or something that is, yeah.
Okay, so I put 10 seconds wait time before this function will return the value. Okay, let's see if that works. The issue is that it opens bunch of windows, okay, not just one.
Oh.
So I have only one window right now, but it will open multiple windows. See, this one is first one. This is second one.
Yeah.
This is third one.
Okay.
Okay, then there you go. It's still,
Yes.
yeah. So again, this driver basically will work sometimes. Sometimes we have to play around with this timing thing and see. But in the real life, right? Imagine you are running this test via command line on a server. Okay, so it's executing 1,000 tests at night before the deployment to make sure everything runs. Nothing got broken, right? So you are not waiting there. It just runs everything and gets you reports.
Result there it should be passed.
Yep,
All the results.
all that should be
there,
passed.
so
Yep,
then
that's
it
correct.
can-
So, okay. So everybody good, right? So in your class file, you need to put the additional logic to interact with the browser. Okay. Now again, I haven't used the user type and homepage type, but I know there are more things coming here, right? So I can simply do if user type, if I because I need to implement this logic, right? This
Okay.
username password only for the admin. So I can say if user type is equal admin, because this admin value will come from our scenario. If then execute this logic, right? Click doesn't change whether you are user admin or dealer user. Now, if I'm a dealer user, what do I need to do? Just imagine I'm implementing the scenario, this method for dealer. Else if dealer. Then I just apply G training and training, right? And same thing here. I can put the same type of logic.
Okay.
So instead of these two, I'm just copying pasting in a hurry. So I will say if it's a dealer homepage, this, then do that. Link admin homepage. Otherwise, if it's a dealer, then I need to go and find the dealer. So I'll say, because dealer homepage is also visible on the admin, right? but I can check maybe calculator link or something else. So I come here and say calculator, inspect, and calculator link. So now my method, I don't have to write this method over and over again. I write once, I add another scenario here.
For the dealer one.
Yeah, add dealer. And everything will work just fine. Oh, why it's not,
Yeah, you need to write.
so we will go here, right? It says admin here, so I need to modify to dealer.
Dealer.
So I don't have to do much. Okay, both of my scenarios are ready. I can run 2 tests now
Yeah.
without much coding and so forth. All right, so let's do one. I don't want you to work through the second one. This one will become your homework to add another scenario. But let's focus on the first one, and I will put that in the chat window for the online folks. And I'll give you guys roughly about 45 minutes or 30 minutes, 30 minutes. How about 30, start with the 30.
We need to create another one or we just,
You already have this one?
I think, yes.
Oh, then let me, so you use the logic that you have, right?
Uh-huh.
And modify your class file.
Modify. Okay.
This is what you have, right? So in your class file, you need to put this step, okay? This logic. You need to add the initialize method.
Mhm.
You don't have it, right? Initialize. Now, I don't know whether you guys have login with the user type. Is it what you have?
We did one login on.
Well, how many methods you have in your class?
How many methods?
Yes,
Let me check. 3.
right? So see, you have login and verify homepage.
Yes.
Okay, then it's the same class file, same. You don't have to create anything new.
So we can just.
Just add this
put the
additional
additional stuff in the class file.
Yep, so I'm gonna leave this on the board. Right?
Yeah, this one we need to do.
Yeah, this is now you're hooking up the initialize, adding the initialize. Then you have to
Yes.
create this appropriate method calls for the browser, right? And so forth. Okay, so 30 minutes should work.
So it's the best choice to type it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, nothing copy paste. Make sure everything is proper though.
No, actually, the type will know what we are doing.
Yeah. I think 30 minutes should be good enough, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm going
And
to,
also that Ruby, we install it saying 7 days.